Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how
He's alive!
Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Liam. He is one of the two hosts of Let's Talk About podcast. They talk about a whole bunch of weird stuff, paranormal conspiracies, um, hauntings, which obviously is paranormal, cryptids. They make up their own stories and they tell it. Which their recent episode is about crop circles, which I find very interesting. I highly recommend their podcast. They're great people, both of them, Billy and Liam. Um, I try. It's a, so while we were recording this episode, I did try to do an English accent, and Liam was like, "That's fucking Australian." And there was another time where I tried to do it in a group chat a couple months ago, and he's like, "That sounds Australian." And the more that I try and do an English accent, the more I realize that I sound Australian, which is not a bad thing. I'm just saying that obviously I cannot pin down like a UK English accent. So, I don't know, I just thought it was funny. But today we talk about some like trickster kind of stuff. Um, there's, the missing key. So that story is pretty interesting. He has a couple other interesting stories. We talk about conspiracies a little bit, some like actual happenings over there in the UK and stuff like that. But um yeah, it was a good chat. Enjoyed it. He did invite me to be on their show, which I will do at some point soon. Hopefully, we just haven't nailed down a date yet. But I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. I enjoyed chatting with him. But if you're interested in flavoring up your food, however you want to do it, like your eggs, scrambled eggs in the morning, your cheeseburgers, um, whatever you like to flavor up, pizza dough, all that stuff. I highly recommend a Bigfoot's Breath from Flavors of the Forest. It is raw garlic dust. They also have ginger, spicy raw garlic dust, and lion's mane. All of it's fantastic, very yummy. I highly recommend it. A lot more potent than any of the powders that you're gonna get in the store. So that where you can get that is flavorsforest.com/weird. Go get yourself a bottle, or two, or five, or 20. However often you think you're going to use garlic. I mean, I use it all the time. I use it on everything. When I make scrambled eggs, every time I have scrambled eggs, it's in there. So, also weird sauce. If you're into hot sauce, you can definitely get some of my weird sauce at where the weird ones are podcast.com. And yeah, you can find it there. We got blueberry heat, hot lemon squeeze, green apple sizzle, and down the rabbit hole. highly recommend all of those. And yeah, you can go purchase that shit there. Um, so if you enjoyed today's episode, you enjoy any of the other episodes, please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I'd greatly appreciate it. If your podcatcher doesn't allow you to leave a review, you can definitely do that on the website. Again, that is where the weird ones are podcast.com. 5 stars, I would love, but obviously it's up to you. So, but you can also get the merch. Obviously, the hot sauce, like I previously stated, there's a blog there. There's also a photo gallery of everybody who has sent me a picture who's gotten merch. Um, what else? I think that's about it. Um, yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. I hope you check out Liam's podcast. It's a good one. Um, a lot of people have helped me out a lot on this journey and have been so kind to me. David from Down the Rabbit Hole has been an amazing friend. Amanda, One Nothing podcast, Scott and Ryan, Beyond the Shadows, Rachel and Heather, Like Mother, Like Murder, Amanda and Sean from Haunted and the Strange podcast, Drewski, obviously, can't forget him. Cryptid Warfare. Drew has been an amazing friend. He's become like a brother to me, and I can't thank him enough for being himself and being such a great help and somebody to talk to. So all those podcasts I highly recommend. So yeah, it's been a fun journey. I will say that for sure. I'll say that for sure. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this episode and go over and leave Liam and Billy a 5-star rating and a review if you can, if it's on the podcatcher that you listen on. So, but anyways, guys, let's get into the shit with Liam. I
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
Hey y'all, this is Chelsea Deanne from Station 59, and you are listening to Kevin on Where the Weird Ones Are.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. So happy to have you here. Today I have Liam from Let's Talk About. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. All good. What about you?
Fantastic. So first of all, Let's Talk About podcast it's a podcast where you dive into spooky tales and stuff like that. And I think either you or Billy, you guys create your own stories too, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so well we do a bit of everything really. So I mean we go down the true crime route, haunted stuff, alien stuff. And then the last episode of every month obviously we have our terrifying tales as we call it. So that's where we come up with our own little stories. It's a little bit the idea is sort of from like Radio Rental. So we have our
Yeah.
little characters that we do our intros and outros as, that sort of thing. But yeah, we have a good laugh with it.
Yeah, I checked one out. Oh, it was a while ago. I think it was a vampire story or something like that, or something to do with
Yeah.
vampires. Man, I will say so Liam and I are in the same groups with a bunch of other podcasts where we, trade our trailers and whatnot. And, there's so many of us that you try and keep up with everybody else's work, but, sometimes it happens where, you sometimes you have to take a minute to, to take turns, basically. You gotta,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, I'll do this podcast this week and stuff like that because I like to support everybody that, that is in there. So it's really hard when I'm sure you've got the shows that you already were a fan of before you started your own podcast. And then you got all these people that, were trying to we basically become like this like little family within Instagram. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's hard work keeping up with everyone. I mean, like you say, the ones I already listen to, and then I mean, how many of us are in that group? There's got to be at least 10 or 15, hasn't there? So,
Yeah.
and then like I say, and obviously some release multiple episodes a week. It's really hard to keep up with everybody. But
But
I
it's a
know
good
I've listened to a couple of everyone that's in there at least. So
Yeah, same. I at least know like the general consensus of what everybody's podcast entails. So, um, but if you don't mind, getting a little bit deeper into like exactly what you do with your podcast and let everybody know, where they can find it and where they can find you on socials and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, we're on all the everywhere you get your podcasts. We are in the process of putting them all on YouTube now. Got a couple up there now, so obviously just it takes time putting them up there, so that's a nightmare. But it'll be worth doing it in the end. Um, Instagram's the main social media. We are on them all, but like I say the Instagram's the main one that we use. Uh, and yeah, like I said, we release episodes every Sunday. Like I said, we've got the true crime, paranormal, alien stuff, UFOs, and then obviously we finish off every month with our little terrifying tales.
That's a pretty that I like the terrifying tales thing. That's a fantastic idea. So, um, but I know that I like to ask, especially other pretty much everybody actually, is what got you started in this journey of doing your own podcast?
Yeah, it's funny really. So we started off originally. We had a football podcast or soccer for you, and it started off okay, and then it dwindled down very quickly. But it's a very, I mean, because you've got so many like professional ones out there, and especially now with all ex players and stuff doing their own stuff for everything now, so it's very hard to actually get into that sort of thing. And me and Billy have always been interested in like paranormal stuff and whatever. We have different opinions on a lot of things, so that was where it started. We talked about doing like a second podcast along with a football one, and but that was just that was how it came about. So I think we just recorded a football one, and then we had a conversation about ghosts, and then we were just like, why don't we just do this as a podcast? Because it's better already. We enjoyed doing that more than the football one because the football one was just so much hard work
Yeah.
because we had to we both work like opposite shifts, then trying to obviously see all the results and see as many goals and highlights of games so you can talk about everything, and it was not doable.
Yeah. Understandable. Um, you guys, there's like a ton of games going on in one day, isn't there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we both support different teams, and they're in different leagues. So we'd have to So we used to try and cover two different leagues as well, and it was just impossible.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh man. So, Liam, have you ever encountered? Do you have any encounter stories? With it, whether it be ghosts, cryptids, or aliens, UFOs, anything like that?
Well, me first one that I always tell people because it's the one that I think about the most because it's the one that
Mm-hmm.
confuses and annoys me the most. So I think I must have been about 13 or 14 years old, and it was the first time I'd been left at home on my own. I think my mum and dad, they'd gone away for the night somewhere, so I'd been out with my friends, and I come home, and then in our house it was always a thing that you only ever locked the door when we went to bed. Like I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people come in the house, lock the door straight away, but that was never a thing. And when we went to bed and locked the door, the key was always left in the door. So there was unless no one was in the house, there was always a key in the front door. So then I'd come home this one night when my parents were away. I come in, I've been out with my friends, had a shower or something, and then I decided I was going back out, probably go to the shop or something. And the front door was locked, and then I couldn't find my key anywhere. And then it turns out that my key was upstairs, which is something that I'd never done. I'd never come in, lock the door, and then take my key upstairs because I'd never have a reason to. And it absolutely baffled me. Like I was on the phone to my uncles telling them they had to come round and like check if there was people in the house and stuff.
Did you hear anything with it? Like, was it you just came home and the key was upstairs, or?
No, I didn't hear anything. It was just like I say, it just completely and utterly baffled me because
Yeah.
I say, it didn't happen there, and I'm just so confused with it all. Like I say, I was literally on the phone to like my uncles and stuff. Like you need to come round. There's people in the house. I'm going to die.
I've definitely done that before.
Mm.
I've called people and been like, "Hey man, there's somebody in this house. I'm not going inside until like there's five of us here."
Well, that's what I mean.
I don't.
I was in the house and couldn't get out. I couldn't find my key. It was only afterwards. It
Yeah.
was only afterwards that I found my key.
Yeah. So everybody that you called, they couldn't even get inside because the door was locked.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just in there thinking I'm about to get murdered.
That's fucking hilarious.
But
Oh
it's just
my
weird that
God.
it was the first time that I was on my own.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
That is weird. That is
Yeah.
weird. Did you have other things like constantly like be moved places and stuff like that in that same house or anything?
I never did. My sister had stuff that got moved around. I mean, I probably didn't help because she always used to say that dolls moved, which I know probably a lot of people, a lot of kids used to say that. And then I
Yeah.
definitely didn't help matters by telling her that I'd seen them moving and stuff. But then there would be times where they'd be in places where they shouldn't be. I
Yeah.
mean, whether she was moving them herself just to try and get us to believe her or not, I don't know. But
Oh man. Dolls
mm,
creep me out really bad.
yeah,
I cannot like so I have two main fears, and that's dolls and clowns. Clowns now is more like a uncomfortableness. When I was little, I was like deathly scared. Um but I've always been afraid of dolls. I can't
mm,
I can't be anywhere near to, even now I just can't. I just can't do it.
mm,
They make me so uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here in this room with this doll. So, and when I was a kid, my aunt had a like one of those china cabinets. It's just like a
mm.
big freaking cabinet with glass windows all over it and like glass shelves. And she had a shit ton of freaking clown dolls inside of it. And those like like the play masks or whatever, like the
Yeah,
masquerade or whatever kind of things, and they were
yeah,
all
like the
over the
happy and
place
the sad
painted up.
face.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
things. and she had them hung up on the walls around it, and I'm just like, what is going on here? I was so scared because she was combining two of my fears when I was a kid, the fucking clowns and dolls, and I'm like, why am I sleeping on this living room floor staring at this cabinet of freaking clown dolls?
Yeah, no.
Like,
I'm
get
with
me
you
out
on
of
the
here.
clowns. Like, I don't do clowns.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
there's something weird with clowns.
Mm.
Like it seems to be like when a lot of people when they're little, they're scared of them. And I almost want to think that there's like something in our DNA, like um what the frick is the word that I'm trying to look for? Um just
Like an
part of our
instinct.
yes, instinct. There we go. Thank you. It seems like that it's an old instinct of ours
Mm.
to not like these things, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've heard of him, Paul, um, shit, I can't think of his name, but he wrote a book talking about the Nephilim look like clowns and stuff like that. So, which Nephilim spirits are demons, or what the demons are. So almost kind of like I think the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I heard him on a podcast today, and I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? I was freaking so scared of clowns, and I wonder if we're supposed to be scared of them, so when we're kids, we were just like, get them the fuck away from here, away from me. But like as society, we tend to romanticize demons and anything evil. I mean, um, there's a dude that killed two women over here in the States that is being romanticized right now because all the women think he's gorgeous. So they're
Mm.
like, oh, poor Wade Wilson. He looks sad when he just killed two people, but that's okay. He can just kill
Yeah.
these two women and well, let's get on TikTok and make him famous for it in the wrong way. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
something. It's
No.
something.
Yeah. I know who you mean though, there, 'cause I think I've listened to the same podcast. Is it Paul Stobbs? He was called.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's
Yeah.
his name. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember I
Oh
was
man.
listening to it and everything he was saying about where the original the original outfit comes from clowns and stuff, and I'm googling it and I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, that makes sense. This is really weird.
Yeah.
It probably freaked me out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, holy shit. I was like,
Yeah.
it was good. Like, and he had a lot of information on it, and oh man, and then they touched on Batman and stuff. I got a Batman tattoo, and they were talking about like um ritualistic things to do with, the Harley Quinn and the Joker characters, and I'm like, you know what? Like, because I didn't know it at the time when I got this, but I love the character Batman. I've always have. I love the comics and all that. But the Batman symbol is a Masonic.
Yeah.
So like to think that you got this Masonic imagery, and then you got this because I think he was talking about a Nephilim spirit named Harlequin,
Yeah.
which was a male spirit, but that
Mm.
within the Batman comics they made a female version named Harley Quinn. So I don't know. And there's like geishas and or if I'm saying that right, geishas in China that paint their faces white and they paint their cheeks red and their nose red or something or their lips red. Um oh man, I don't know. That's it. There's a lot to digest with that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was more the
Yeah.
fact as well, like I would say, like with the big shoes and the big hands and stuff. Obviously, because it comes from giants and stuff, and it's just like all like subliminal stuff. But when you think about it and you look into it a bit more, it's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to buy his book now. So I
Mm.
might actually reach out to him and see if he wants to be on the podcast to talk about more in depth. So like, because the listeners are probably like, I don't really, you're not really giving me any real information right now. But
Yeah.
Paul Stobbs, go check him out
Yeah.
if you really
He
want to
did.
know
Be
that
a good
real
guest.
information. Yeah. So, do you guys do guests on your show ever, or is it strictly just you and Billy?
No, we've had a few guests on. Like I
Yeah.
said, Tommy from Let's Get Freaky, he's been on. We've had a bloke, Mark Hughes, who's a medium. We've had him on. So we've had a few guests on. Got a few more lined up.
Nice. Nice. Have you ever had an experience or an encounter that doesn't have to be like paranormal, but something that scared the shit out of you even more than the missing key, to where that you like literally were thinking, my life's about to end. Like, this is I'm done.
Yeah, well, I get sleep paralysis on occasions.
Oh, fuck me, dude. No
Yeah,
way. I fucking hate sleep paralysis. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. Well, it's a strange one with mine. So the first time it happened, again, I can't remember how old I was. I must have been 10 or 11 maybe. And
Yeah.
so my bedroom at the time, well, I mean, it was essentially a cupboard. I was used to say, but I used to always sleep with my door open. I didn't like sleeping with the door closed. Hated it. Don't know why. Just always did. And then obviously went to bed one night, and then I just remember waking up, like me, obviously my eyes open and not being able to move, but like my bed faced the bedroom door because like I say it was that small, and then literally just in the doorway. So we always had the light on in the hall, so the light come in, I'm probably scared of the dark, and there was just like just a black figure stood there.
Oh,
But like
shit.
my only way, there's still to this day the only way I can describe it is like a sort of like Grim Reaper shape, like a hooded like figure. There was no like
Oh.
facial features to it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just almost like a silhouette.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was like the worst night of my life.
Yeah, I can relate, man. I can relate.
Mm.
Well, I've had sleep paralysis here and there. A lot of times there was nothing going on. I just would wake up and be like, I can't move, and I had that overwhelming sense of dread, but I didn't see
Mm.
anything. Like, I didn't know why I was in this fear state. Um, but I did have an instance in my bedroom, in this house actually, where I had woken up to my name being called, and I just kind of like, I woke up, I was very groggy, kind of lifted my head to look down towards my feet to where the doorway was. I always leave my door open, especially when my kids are home. So if they need something, they can just come in and ask me or whatever. If they need to, they can wake me up. Um, so anyways, I hear my name called, pick my head up, and this womanly figure, very voluptuous. She was very curvy, had wicked long curly hair, like wavy and stuff like that, but she was a silhouette. She was just a shadow. And she was walking towards my bed, but she was walking like the best way that can describe it is like C3PO, you know. So she was just
Mm.
like coming into my room, and I was so scared, and I couldn't breathe for like a good second, and I noticed that my phone was just to the left of me, just out of my hand reach, and I was sprawled out like a freaking starfish for some reason. I never sleep like this, which was also weird. So I'm trying to grab my phone, and I'm just trying to reach for it, and I end up wiggling my fingers, just trying to get that extra inch to grab my phone, and this thing's getting closer. And I'm looking out of the because I can't turn my head, so I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, looking at my fingers moving for my phone, and then looking back at the figure, and this thing was it was like about to crawl onto my bed, and I like broke out. I just moved, and I lunged for my phone, grabbed my phone, sat up at the same time, and hit the button and lit up the room, and it was gone. I was freaking sweating, and breathing heavy. And I was just like, holy cow. I thought I was just about to freaking die, you know? And then I had to go to the bathroom, and I didn't want to go to the bathroom. And so it took me about 10 minutes, and I stood in my doorway, and I was like, if you have negative intentions in the name of Jesus, you're not welcome here, and this and that. And then there's a little bit of space in my hallway, and then there's my daughter's room, and then my son's room was directly across the hall. So I knew that I had to, and then the stairs are to the right. So I was gonna go and I was gonna run. Like back when I was a kid, I used to run downstairs and run upstairs if I was scared. And then I would jump onto my bed so nothing could from underneath my bed could grab me. But I jumped out and I turned and I just karate chopped the air really quick. I was like, that's what I thought. But because I have to like for me mentally, I have to make a joke out of them, or I'm gonna be too scared. You know what I mean? And it and I
Yeah.
think it has something to do from when I was a kid too. I don't know if you ever did this or if anybody else out there has ever done this when they're scared, but you start to sing. Think like because I started to sing all the time when I was a kid. I'm like, oh, if the ghosts see me singing, they're gonna be like, oh, he's all right. He doesn't, we're not gonna bother him. We're not gonna kill him tonight. He's singing, you know. And I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. So I would literally belt out the most recent song that I heard as loud as I could while I'm like in this situation. And it was usually in my grandparents' basement, like when my grandfather would tell me to go downstairs and get something like, oh, I need a tool or I needed this or I needed that. And I'd go downstairs, I'd get right to where he kept all of his stuff, and it was a little bit of a darker spot of the basement. There was no extra light on where he kept his stuff for some odd reason, but the rest of the basement was clearly lit. And I would stand there and I'd be like, fuck. And then I'd start singing, and then I'd walk into the shadows and get whatever he needed. And I would always end up seeing a shadow person, which would scare me, but they would never do anything. And the one that came into my room, that the story I just told you, that's been the only shadow person I've seen in my life that moved.
Yeah.
So, was it actually
No,
a
I mean,
shadow person? I don't know.
maybe. But then again, it's like say if you're asleep, then it maybe is just like sleep paralysis as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's
Yeah. There's a
different
lot
things.
of like trauma for people who experience sleep paralysis, like, and people who do. There's so I don't know if you've heard of her, but Vicky Joy Anderson, she's dealt with sleep paralysis her entire life, and um, she's she wrote a whole book about sleep paralysis and about how it's tied to trauma. So, like, you're experiencing some kind of trauma in your life, you end up having these sleep paralysis episodes. Like, she had a lot of trauma in her childhood. I had childhood trauma. Um, and it wasn't until I was living with my grandparents after a lot of things had happened when I started getting the sleep paralysis here and there. So if you're comfortable with talking about it, I don't know if you are, or if you even had anything, but did you have any kind of like traumatic events happen before you had this sleep paralysis event?
Not that I can think of beforehand, like from the first time it happened, because I remember, like I said, the first time it happened, like you said, with the whole black like hooded figure slash Grim Reaper sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything that happened before that or anything, because like I said, I mean, I was only young, but then in the last couple of years, I've started getting it again occasionally, but it's
Mhm.
not. It's very strange. I've spoken about this on other podcasts I've been on. It's like I wake up and it's always on my left hand side, and there's no like it's like there's something there, but there's no shape to it or anything.
Yeah.
I just know there's something there, but I don't get like the horrible feelings or anything. I almost
Uh,
feel as if at ease. I almost feel like almost relaxed.
oh.
But then I guess I'll get agitated because I can't move. I mean, like I say, like most people, it does only last, 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. But
Mm-hmm.
like I say, I go from like very, very relaxed and then like, nope, hang on, I can't move, I don't like this now. That the thing. But I was speaking before because someone asked me like, what do I think it is? And I like to say now that like maybe it's my granddad that died who I was really close to. I like to think that
Yeah.
maybe that's a thing. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if it could be. It's just a nice thought that I have.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's not anything definitive about,
Mm,
any of this. So um, like just because you have sleep paralysis doesn't necessarily mean
mm,
something negative, although a lot of times it does.
mm.
But for you to feel completely relaxed and at peace, I would say it's probably, maybe the sleep paralysis is just caused from us being watched by an entity at night when we're sleeping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. So you
Mm,
waking up to like a calm being and still being calm, and the only irritation that you get is the fact that you can't fucking move, which is extremely frustrating. Um, and but you got good. You're surrounded by good energy. What it seems like, and yeah, I would go with something positive watching you. Yeah,
mm.
I mean, I if that probably makes you feel good too to think about it that way too. So
Yeah,
like when
exactly.
you yeah, so when you're experiencing it, you're just like, "Hey,
Mm.
granddad, all right, now leave so I can fucking move because I can't move." You know?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
it's like
that's
that is just the
interesting.
only that is the only worst part about it is not being able to move. I mean, like you say, I mean, we've been doing this how long now? 10 minutes, and you've probably noticed like I don't stay still. It's impossible for me to stay still.
Yeah, I know. I
Like now,
well,
I'm just sat
for
here now, both my legs are just going like that. I can't sit
yeah,
still. It's physically impossible.
I I can't either, man. And the people that
Mm,
watch on YouTube should. I mean, I'm sure they know by now because I'm always like this. I move like this. I'll freaking sit here and I'll go like this.
yeah,
Like I can do it for like I can sit still for like a minute
yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, no, I'm exactly the same way. And I talk to so many people that literally because they'll have their computer right on their desk and they'll sit there and the whole entire hour, 2 hours. I had a gentleman on. He was on for 3 hours and he literally just sat here just like this for freaking 3 hours. And I was like, how do you do that? How do you just
Nah.
sit there and go over all this information and not move? Like I mean, he like scratched his face a couple times, but he
Mm,
was just still. I was just like, oh man, I could not do that. You know, and actually, the majority of my guests, they don't move and all
yeah.
that much. And I kind of feel like a fruitcake sometimes because I'm freaking moving so much. And I'm just like, put my leg up, and then I lean, and then I move again within like a minute or two. I don't know. So I'm glad that you're moving because now I don't feel so freaking weird about it.
Now, well, I've sat on a different. I've sat on Billy's chair purposely because the one I normally sit on creaks like hell. So obviously, when we're recording, I can just edit them out.
Yeah.
But like, normally, I'll just sit there and spin, and it creaks and everything, and it's a nightmare.
That sounds like a nightmare, man. I had
Yeah,
I had a chair that creaked too. So I gave it to my daughter and I got this still one. I had it on wheels. I had wheels and everything and arms. And I'm like, and now I just got this like regular just chair with legs, no
yeah.
wheels. So I can't spin in it, which I was
Well,
doing. I would do.
I'm onto my second chair because we were. we recorded our first ever guest episode, and it was sort of like, right, stop, and it was like a sort of, oh, it's done. And I leaned back, and the whole back of the chair just went, and I went off with it.
Oh shit! Did you get
I really
that
wish it
on
was still
video?
recorded. Sadly not.
Ah, that
You know
would
what I
have been
mean?
a fun blooper.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just cracked made
Oh
off the
man.
wall behind me and everything. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, um. So there was a one because you're obviously in the UK, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So knowing that you were going to be on tonight, so recently there's been some stuff going on over there. And I wanted to get your kind of perspective where you're in there. And it's nothing paranormal, but I kind of go into these topics with like a conspiratorial mind. So there was unfortunately um a couple little girls that went to a studio and for like a Taylor Swift dance thing or something, and they were attacked by someone with a knife. And there's been a whole lot of protests on both sides. So I guess
Yeah.
the person that committed the crime was an immigrant. So obviously, when you have stuff like that happening, the citizens of the actual that live and breathe and are from that actual country are going to be upset naturally.
Mm.
Um, but to defend this this guy, I guess I don't know. There's counter protests to their
Mm.
protests about this guy killing these little girls, and I just wanted to get like your perspective, what you're seeing over there.
Yeah. Well, one of the protests slash riots that happened on Sunday, which was well, next town over from me. It's basically where I'm from, but yeah. And personally, I do not see the point of it myself. I
Yeah.
find it really, I find it really bizarre. Like, say, I mean, from where it actually happened, it was in Southport, which is like Liverpool way, so that's like two and a half hours away from me. Which I know for in the US that's like going around the corner, but that's like middle of the country for us. But I don't see why people. I don't understand the point of the riots because that's not going to change anything. Like
Yeah.
the smashing up shops and looting shops and stuff, and I'm just like, that ain't going to bring anyone back. That's not going to help matters. If anything, that's going to make things worse.
Yeah.
So it just seems really bizarre to me. But then you've got all they call themselves the EDL. I don't even know if it's actually a thing anymore. It used to stand for English Defence League, which is just yeah, which is as bad as it sounds. And so their opinion is essentially, well, from what I'm aware and what I've seen is they've strongly believe that if you're a Muslim, you're more than likely a terrorist. That's not my
Oh.
opinion, but yeah, that is what those sort of people tend to believe. So that's why, like I said, there's been arguments from both sides because obviously there's strong Muslim communities all over the place, and so then you've got people who are doing these protests slash riots attacking like mosques and stuff. So then they're sort of like defending the mosques. So
I
that's where
gotcha.
a lot of it has been. That's where a lot of like the clashes have been. But
Hmm.
like I say, I just think it's bizarre because it's not going to change anything. It's disgusting
Right.
what happened. It shouldn't happen. But
Hmm.
then the way people are reacting, retaliating, whatever you want to call it, ain't going to change anything. So it just seems bizarre to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like same thing over here. When I think there was actually during 2020 there was during when we were supposed to be locked down, and there was a bunch of riots and looting and stuff over somebody that died by the hand of the cops. And I remember being like, why why are you stealing from they were like they were looting like small businesses. They weren't going after like these big name brand stores too. So and then setting them on fire. And I was just like, what is happening? Why are you doing this? You're just destroying your
Yeah.
neighborhood, you know? So I don't know what it is with that mindset to go
I
out and
don't.
just to do destruction in the name of the death of somebody. That like I get it.
Mm.
It's like well when it comes to kids, that would hit me harder than it would a 40-year-old man that was high on drugs. But
Yeah,
um
definitely.
yeah. So
Mm.
like I mean I'm not from the UK and I'm still upset
Mm.
that happened. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I keep saying this like the world is going crazy. I think the world has always been crazy. We just live in an age where we can see it all,
Yeah.
which is
Mm.
unfortunate. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate the way people are, but anyways. So
One
yeah, I just
one
wanted
thing
to
I
get your
did
Oh, go ahead.
one thing I did say about it, which it was more the tweet that was funny than anything else. So one of the shops that got looted. So there's a chain of shops here called Lush, and all they sell like like soaps, bath bombs, candles, all stuff like that. You go in there, the smells of that in your face, you get headaches as soon as you walk in the place. So they'd broke into one of them and looted stuff, and then someone had put a video of it on Twitter, and the caption just said, "Yes, lads, nicking bath bombs, stealing bath bombs, that'll stop the illegals." And it's true. It's just like, what good is stealing soap going to do?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that what I mean?
I
It makes no sense.
yeah, yeah. So like with that stuff too though, like for another like kind of perspective like so I dive into a lot of conspiracies. So having so there's a protest, right? And you want to kind of like demonize that protest. You send in like these provocateurs and
Mm.
they end up smashing up these businesses and stealing shit to make that entire group that is protesting look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Not saying that that's the situation, but I do believe that happens consistently throughout the whole entire world. Wherever there is protests, I think governments, because they're all well, government because they believe it or not, they're all one. Where the whole entire world is ruled by, you know, 13 families.
Yeah.
Whether you know, regardless. So, but anyways, I do think that there are provocateurs sent out to kind of like cause mayhem and destruction and chaos. Um, to make a lot of people look bad. And I think that's what happened with January 6th here in America. I think that's what happened with the BLM riots is that there was somebody out there to try and make it look bad on them. Um, and maybe that's what's happening over there. Not saying
Mm.
it is, but I don't know a whole lot about that situation, so um, but I just watched a video on it, so I was like, oh, Liam's gonna be on. He's over there. I'll just ask him, what he thinks about it, like what's going on. So yeah, but we'll get off that train and we'll kind of like bring it back into the paranormal, which is probably what most of you prefer to hear anyway. Um, have you ever seen anything or whether it's like something small or maybe a noise or something that you can possibly attribute to being a cryptid of some kind?
Cryptid wise, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I've recently and weirdly about 2 hours ago. So I was sat on the sofa. This happened twice now in about the last month. And so I was sat on the sofa and we have cats. And like sometimes, I mean, they're like stealth. They're like ninjas with fur.
Yeah.
And so they'll just appear from nowhere. And
Yeah.
I thought one had jumped on the back of the sofa because in my ear and only in my right ear, I'm sure I heard like a noise that they make. Cats make really weird noises anyway. But I just heard it in my ear, and I literally, what the fuck was that? And then like I turn around and there's nothing there, and like neither of the cats are in the house, and I'm just like, I'm looking around like I've just heard something in my ear. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it happened. The same thing happened to me at work a couple of weeks ago. And I was just stood there, and I heard it was almost like a whistle. It was just like as if someone was just going like just going in my ear. But again, only in one side. I could only hear it in that ear. So
Wow, that's
that
weird.
freaked me out, especially tonight because it was very much like an actual like noise, like you'd say, like an animal sort of thing. Because I thought it was a bloody cat. That freaked me out. But as for seeing things, I mean, like apart from like shadows and stuff, that's about it
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
Heard a lot of things.
Yeah. I heard a lot of stuff at the Conjuring house, but it could have been an animal. But I would like to
Mm.
think that it was something. Um, and then there was I was gonna ask you something else. I hate it when I do this. Like I literally thought of a question while you were talking again, and the listeners are probably like, "Dude, what the fuck?" All the time. So what was it? What was it? What was it? If I can think about it real quick. If I can think about it real quick. I can't remember, so I'm gonna move on. And so what kind of cryptids are over or are said to be over in the UK? Do you know?
I mean, the main one, obviously, you got here is obviously the Loch Ness monster, if you count that
Mm-hmm.
as a cryptid.
Yeah.
Um, apart from that, not a lot that I know of. I mean, there's always stories about us having like big cats over here and stuff, which I don't know if it's true. I mean, there's probably been some Bigfoot stuff over here in the past, but nothing
Yeah.
recently. Like I said, the main one is definitely Loch Ness monster, which is obviously up in Scotland.
Really? All right. Yeah, I've heard a
Mm,
couple stories about big cats over there in the UK. I don't know if I've heard anything about Bigfoot or anything like that.
mm,
Um, Tommy said something about the woods that he lives by that somebody saw a dog man of some kind, like a
mm,
dog man-ish creature. And I
yeah.
was like, what? I think that was I think he said it either on my podcast or when I was recording with him. I can't remember, but he said it. I know he said it. In
Yeah.
Dorset.
Yeah.
Um,
He's down south from me.
yeah. So that's interesting. I never want to come across a big cat in the woods. I'll say that.
No, no,
Um,
definitely not.
yeah, there because
Mm,
we have actual like it's not cryptid. They're
yeah.
actual like big cats out in the mountains
Mm.
right here, like just an hour or two drive away from me. You know?
You know, that's like I say, just having two small ones, and like I say, I know, like I've said that they're just ninjas with fur. Like so, I don't need a big version of that in my life.
Yeah, no, fuck that. No.
Not one that
But
can like rip
it
me throat out.
Yeah, yeah. And because they are
Mm,
ninjas too, even when they're that big, because all the attacks and sightings of the big cats,
mm,
it's like I'm just walking and then like 10 feet out of nowhere, there's these eyes, and I'm just like, what is that? And then it's this huge cat, and I'm just like,
yeah,
oh boy, and then I gotta take out my phone and record it and back away from it at the same time. But yeah, they're so, even when they're big, they're so quiet.
and
It's crazy. Um, so in the topics that you guys research and stuff, what has been like your favorite thing, like discussion topic on your podcast so far?
well, we both really like all the haunted stuff. Me personally, I like the true crime stuff at the minute, especially when it's something that's unsolved or someone who's disappeared. I mean, I think it was like episode 12 for us. We'd done a case of a guy who disappeared. Well, from where we live, and that was like 30 years, over 30 years ago now, and still unsolved. Nobody knows what's ever happened to him. Still,
Oh shit.
yeah. It's just like, I mean, like where we live is tiny. It's really really small place, and it's just like it's one of them places where typically everyone knows everyone. Like, you can't go out without seeing somebody that you know. And like I said, then one day just vanished. No one's ever seen him since. But like I said, the haunted stuff, that's probably both of our favourites.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting story. Yeah. Do you have a favorite cryptid as well? At all?
Probably Loch Ness Monster, just because I love some of the theories about it.
Yeah. Do you have
I mean,
a theory about it?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
And my favourite one is, and I'll get like it's a bit of a joke one out the way with first, because I was on another podcast, Caffeinated Conspiracies, there in our group that we're in as well, and I've done a whole episode with them about it. And so I said to them, I remember seeing something before about, obviously, when ships in like the 1700s, something, sightings of krakens and stuff. And what they said was that it was just a whale that was, how should we say, excited. Obviously, because then things are pretty lengthy, aren't they? So, and like I say, the pictures that you see of the Loch Ness Monster, and if you Google whale penis, and if you put it in black and white, and you edit it a bit, that could very easily be some of the pictures you see of the Loch Ness Monster.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh man, could you imagine if that's really what it is?
Part of me would prefer it. I think it'd be even better if that was the case.
I mean, I just had this woman Alex Shea on, and she talks about the Loch Ness Monster and about how how murky the water is. I guess it's really hard to see when you're in there, and so anything could be hiding in there. So a whale
it's full of I think it's called silt. It's full of
silt. Yeah. She did say that there was researchers out there, and they put like a camera kind of thing, like a motion, like hunters do with the motion detector thing, and they had it in the water, and they got a hit on it, and it was like this big, like diamond-shaped fin, and that's all they could see, and it was fairly large. So whatever that was big. Not saying it's Loch Ness Monster, but that's what they got from that. And there's been so many biologists out there that I've heard stories. Cryptids of the Corn covered Loch Ness Monster, where they think that it's a giant salamander. And Justin was a biologist, so he's well versed in a lot of all this stuff. And he was saying that they did conduct like a biology experiment on the water to like test what DNA they got from the water, and they were only getting otters. And he's like, there's so many other animals in there. Why are they only getting otters? That's weird to me. So is there a government cover-up? Is there a conspiracy of a cover-up? Like they know something's in there, so they're botching these biology experiments? I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise anybody, would it? If that was the case.
Not these days.
But,
man.
My theory with it, though, sadly, I think maybe once there was something there. But I just think now, I mean, it's been too long now. Even if there was something in there, I mean, I mean, I know. I
Yeah.
mean, I know. There's like Greenland sharks can have to be like 500 years old and stuff. But the Loch Ness monster's been about. There's been a story for I don't know how long. But I just
Right.
think. I think if there was something there now, it's died probably, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the
Mm.
guys that took one of the pictures back then, I think it's the black. Actually, I think it's actually the black and white one where it looks like a head sticking out of the water.
Mm.
I guess I heard. I don't know if this is actually true, but somebody told me that on his deathbed that he admitted that the picture was a hoax, that it was just a stick that he put in the
Yeah, yeah,
water, and he just stood at like the right angle and took it. So
yeah. Because it's one of them because there's no background to it. It's just water. You've got
yeah,
no perspective. You've got nothing to
yeah,
compare it to. So I mean, like you say, it could be this big, could be however.
could be a whale penis.
Exactly. You never know. Or like I say, with
Oh
no
man,
perspective, it could be a goldfish.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I really want to go. I not just to like be there for like the Loch Ness monster, but I'd love to go to that area, period. Like that, from what I've seen, like in documentaries on the Loch Ness monster and all that, like it's a beautiful place to be. At
Yeah.
least that's at least what they show anyway, in like the documentaries and stuff like that. Like it looks pretty. I'd love to go there and visit.
I've never actually been. I've been to Scotland a few times, but I've never actually been to Loch Ness. So that is on my list of things to do.
Did you ever go like on a ghost hunt in Scotland? Like in one of those
No, but
castles out there?
no, sadly not. But I did go in the Edinburgh dungeons. We have like
Did
it's like
you?
a
What was that like?
tourist thing here. So it's more like a how would you call it? Like a bit like a haunted house sort of thing. It's like a tourist thing. They have them there. There's one in York, one in London, one in Edinburgh. I think there's one in Blackpool now. So and you just sort of walk through like the main one. I've been to the York one a few times, and like you go through there, and there's bits that's all about the plague and the Black Death and stuff. I can't really remember what they had in the Edinburgh one. I think there's a bit about vampires in there though. But I mean, they're good, they're fun. They say a lot of people jumping out and scaring you and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I had I went to something kind of like that here in Maine. And it was out in the woods, and this guy used like this big bright light, and he hid behind it. And
Mm.
as I'm walking past it, he goes, "Oh." And I was like, "Oh, you didn't get me, fucker. You're using the light anyway. That's a crutch." And then I kept walking. And then he followed me for like 10 minutes trying to scare me, and he couldn't do it. Every once in a while, like, I'm like, dude, I know you're following me now. Like, just let it go. Go back to your light and scare somebody else. I thought that'd be funny. I thought that was funny. Um, but yeah, man, are you guys are you finding fulfillment in what you're doing with your podcast and all that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I can't speak for Billy, but because obviously he's not here. But I mean, I love doing it. I mean, it's like my favorite thing to do at the minute. Like I say,
Yeah.
especially like I say, with us working. Obviously, we both work like opposite shifts, so it's really awkward. So what we usually do is, if we both have a day off, we'll do like 5 or 6 episodes in one day, and they're just like my favorite days of the week.
Nice. You know, when you do something you love to do, you'll
Mm,
never work a day in your life. Not
exactly.
saying that you're making money or making a job out of this, but you never know. It could happen eventually. Um, as long as you
I
stick
mean,
to
that's
it.
the dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I I will say I didn't think of it that way when I first started, but at
mm,
this point, I'm kind of like seeing that it can be, and I kind of
yeah.
want it now. I kind of want it now.
Mm,
Um, but I have another podcast that I do with my kids, and then
mm,
I got my hot sauce And now I want to get into documentaries. So there's a lot of avenues I could take this. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens. I'm not holding my breath, but you can't how do they say it? You know, if you don't take a risk, nothing's gonna happen. You know,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But it's
So,
like I said, we've said. I mean, on the very unlikely chance that this could end up being a job. Like I say, that's the dream. If not, we'll still
mhm.
carry on doing it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Mm.
That's good. Good on you. Good on you, mate.
Mm. That wasn't supposed to be a British accent, surely.
I mean, I was trying, but
That
when
was
I
more
try to do,
Australian.
I was gonna say when I try to do an English accent, it always comes out like more sounding like Australian all the time. I
Because
don't know how I do it, but that's how it comes off. Um, I was singing a song today, actually trying to do an English accent while I was doing it, and I was saying because it's 21 Pilots. I think it's chemical. So when I would
yeah,
say,
yeah.
I was like chemical, and I'm like, that sounds Australian. What the hell? Like I'm saying the whole. I'm like, fuck. Now I can't even on the spot. I can't think of the words. But I'm like chemical. I was like, that's fucking Australian. Never mind. I can't do that.
No, but
So
like you say, you're good on your mate there. That was basically the shark off Finding Nemo.
my name's Bruce.
Exactly.
Fish are our
When
friends.
when Dory says, "I've never eaten a fish," he's like, "Good on you, mate."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh man. So, I did want to ask you um, what was the deciding factor on the podcast name? Like, how did you guys?
Um,
Well,
that was the hardest thing.
yeah,
That was the hardest
yeah,
thing. So, like I said, because we had that conversation originally, like just literally just us sat here, not even recording or anything, and it was us trying to sort of convince each other about something.
uh,
So then Billy had the idea. I think his idea was like convince me or something, or convince me about like dot 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 like it is, and then like which was a good idea if that's what if we were going to be convincing each other of something every single time. But then like as you said, that sort of limits us a little bit.
uh,
So then I was like, well, we're just gonna like I said we're just gonna be talking about stuff. So let's just call it let's talk about, and then whatever we're talking about, we'll put after the dots. I said, mate. A couple of
uh,
people have asked us that, and I just went with the simplest thing I could think of, and apparently it's
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, it
Mm.
it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's just
Yeah,
talk about stuff. You know,
exactly.
let's,
That's what I
let's
thought as
talk
well. Like
about.
man, like it doesn't limit us to anything, which is our whole
Yep.
thing. Like we can talk about
Mm-hmm.
whatever the hell we want.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. But if you don't mind, Liam, one more time, letting the phenomenal people that listen to this show, even though it's only one, um, know where they can find your podcast and where they can find you guys on social media.
I did just want to tell you one more paranormal thing that's happened very recently,
All
if you've
right,
got
yeah,
time.
let's do that. Let's
So it
do
won't take
that.
long.
Yeah.
So it was
But
my
no, you can take
birthday.
all the time you need if you have to, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's it's a 2 minute story. Yeah, but it was just really weird. So it was my birthday on the 13th of July. I had to think about when my own birthday was. And so then I think it was like the 15th or the 16th, a couple of days after. Obviously, all the birthday cards up on all the shelves. So then I come downstairs and every single one of my birthday cards was on the floor. So they'd all
Oh
been knocked
shit.
off the shelves. But there was like some of them had things in front of them, but they were still on the shelf. Every single one of my cards was on the floor. And that's another
Wow.
thing that's happened that I can't get my head around. if, like I say, if there was nothing else on the shelves, I probably wouldn't even think about it too much. But because there was other stuff there, I was just like, well, why haven't they been knocked off as well?
Yeah.
So
That's
I said I've got a
weird.
ghost in my house who does not like birthdays.
or they don't want you to have a birthday.
Well, yeah.
Which is actually kind of scary to think about it that way. That's kind of weird. That makes it sound like they want to like take you out, take you out back.
I'll just have to tell everyone just leave the cards next year.
Oh man, whenever I've walked into a room and something's on the floor, I'm the same way. I'm just like, well, how come that didn't fall? And how come that didn't fall? Like, and then I stare at it for like ever before I even like try and pick it up. But man, you got some weird moving thing. You got a trickster on your hands, I think. Some kind of trickster.
I say it's more because I try to be logical with it, and like I say, so if there's nothing else on the shelves, I wouldn't even think about it.
Right.
But because there's other things there that should have fell off as well, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. So to me, there has to be something else at play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if something on the or if just one of these books fall, why wouldn't the other one fall? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Strange happenings, man. Strange happenings.
Weird stuff.
Yeah. What do you guys got coming up next for your podcast?
Well, like I said, so Billy's just, obviously, he's had his second kid, so he's on his little paternity leave, as we're calling it. So our mutual friend Tommy is filled in on our next 2 episodes that come out. So we've got a bit of a true crime one about the shooting of the footballer Andres Escobar. If anyone who doesn't know about that, give that a listen if you like football. And then after that, again, Tommy done another one with us where we're talking all about crop circles, which was a fun episode to do.
Oh, I gotta check that one out.
Weird and interesting stuff in there.
Crop circles are interesting. Yeah. Crop circles are super interesting.
Yeah, well, where Tommy lives, he gets a lot of them down there.
Really? No shit.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't live too far away from Stonehenge, and they get a lot around that way. So.
Wow. Still to this day?
Yeah.
Like to present day? Well, oh my god.
Yeah, I think he sent me a thing last week about a new one that had popped up.
Shit.
Yeah. So
God,
I need to go down there and see him.
Fuck. I'm gonna have to tell him to send me some articles or something, because I want to see that shit.
And some of them are like, just the patterns on them are just crazy.
Yeah. Yes. I've seen some here in the States, out in the cornfields and stuff, that are like, they're really weird. It's almost like a hieroglyph, like it's trying to tell you something, but you don't know what the fuck it is because you can't read it. You know?
Yeah.
So
it just always makes me want to watch the movie Signs, though, when I see crop circles. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a good movie. That is a good ass movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a UFO or anything?
I don't really know. So the only thing on that side of things that I can't explain happened about a month or 2 ago, and I was going to work. I was on a breakfast shift, so it was like 6:30 in the morning. It was like fully daylight, and it was fairly cloudy day. And then I was just driving to work. It's like to get to my work, I have to go for like a little bit of countryside, and then I went down this hill, and then I was coming back up the hill, and just a really, really bright light in the sky. But it wasn't the sun, because the sun was the other way and was like behind me at the time.
Yeah.
And that really confused me, and I thought about that all day, because it was the only way I could describe it was like, you know when you can see the moon during the day sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like that, but really, really, really bright. It wasn't moving or anything. It was just like still, just like stationary
Huh.
there in the sky, just a really, really, really bright light, which was just really bizarre. And like I said, because I knew it wasn't the sun because the sun was behind me.
Yeah.
So,
That's a really commonality with a lot of these stories.
mm,
It's the light is really bright and it doesn't move.
mm,
There's a lot of other commonalities with other stories of some shit in the sky, but what do you think so I have this weird theory about what UFOs are. Have you ever seen the movie Nope?
yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I talked about this with somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but that movie is extremely stupid, and I do not recommend that movie for anybody to watch. I did not like it at all. I was very bored, but I paid money to go see it, so I stuck it out to the end, and then I was just like, you know, because Jordan Peele gave us and Get Get Out, and those movies were freaking phenomenal. And then he did Nope, and I was just like, this could have been done so much better. But anyways, so like in the movie, I kind of think that UFOs, or maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are kind of their own organic creature. Like I think the
Mm,
UFOs are actual creatures. They're not housing anything in them. They just happen to radiate light.
yeah.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Mm,
Because there's so many stories of like the little orange balls that seem to like communicate with like I don't know. It's really like the
mm,
Chris Bledsoe story. Like
mm,
it makes me feel like I don't know. And maybe like them taking you onto a ship is just your mind forest. Like they're inside your mind with you or whatever. So they're
yeah.
projecting this imagery into your mind. Maybe. I don't know. Nobody knows for sure. But that's just kind of like a theory that I'm going with right now.
Mm. Well, I will say I didn't mind the movie Nope. I didn't think it was too
Oh,
bad. I didn't like I say. I thought the concept was good. I thought the actual like
yeah.
the alien itself, if you want to call it that, I thought that could have been better.
Yeah.
When like essentially, it's been out a few years now, and it bugger it with spoilers. But like when it was essentially like a cowboy hat, I did think that was a bit silly.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but no, like I say,
I
like
think
with go on, sorry.
good. I was just gonna say my I think my only real problem with the movie was the monkey. I didn't
Yeah.
understand how the monkey fit in with the movie to
Mm,
with the story.
yeah.
So
Yeah. But now, like, so with the lights and stuff, we were talking before. So, like, because it tends to always be like three of the smaller lights, isn't
yep,
it?
yep, yep.
So we were speaking before, and that maybe thought maybe they could be like some sort of drone, maybe like to
Yes.
like go in first before we send the big guns in. But then it's
Yeah,
strange that
that's
it's
it.
always free.
Yeah. Um I've had a few people on that they've always seen, and it's like in a triangle shape. So
Hmm.
there'll be two here and then the third one up here. So they make like a complete like triangle. And you can
Hmm.
tell that they're not stars. So this woman Callie, she was out in Florida. She likes to be on the beach as the sun is rising. She does like her yoga, or she'll, smoke a little bit of weed or something like that, and she likes to be up. She likes to be awake, period, when the sun came up. But anyway, so she was out on the beach just doing like a meditation or something like that. And she happened to look up into the sky, and it wasn't complete, like the sun hadn't completely risen, but there was these three lights in the sky, and they were definitely not stars because they were too bright, and pretty much all the stars were gone at this point.
Hmm.
Like you couldn't see them anymore. So, she took a picture. She sent it to me too, and it's definitely, from what I think, from my perspective, it was not. They weren't stars, and they were in a perfect triangle. So, and she said they did move, and they moved in unison.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Well, I mean, that personal opinion there, that if it's moving, then it definitely isn't a star if it's moving.
Yes.
And also, obviously,
yes.
stars don't get brighter. If anything, stars get dimmer. So
Yeah, as the sun, yeah, especially when the sun's
yeah.
coming up. Which is
Mm.
also another weird thing now that I'm talking about it. As the sun comes up, how come we can't see stars anymore? Why is the sky blue now? I don't know.
I remember
I
asking. I remember. I used to know the answer to that question.
yeah,
But
I
it's
think it has something to
disappeared.
do with like yeah, I think it has something to do with like the ultraviolet light or some shit like that.
Mm. Yeah.
To be honest, like reflecting off the oceans, off the water and stuff like that. And so it projects
Yeah.
blue into the sky. I'm pretty sure. I think that's what it is. But
Well, that's what I always. Well, that's what I was told originally. But then I also thought, well, no, that can't be right because water isn't blue, is it? So why is the
that's
sea
true.
blue as well?
You have a point there. You have a point
Yeah.
there. It's technically clear.
Yeah. It's probably
So,
something. I think if anything, it's to do with that. Probably the atmosphere or something more than anything else.
yeah. Yeah, probably.
Mm.
Or the earth is flat and we're in a cup and they have to project something so we can't see so we can't see past the sun because they're just
Yeah. It's
putting
like
a lamp over us.
just a big dome like on The Simpsons.
Spider pig, spider pig. That was a good movie. I like that movie.
It was.
Well, man, this has been fun. Do you have any other stories that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head now. I think that's about it, really.
Do you like? Do you get frustrated when, out of all like when you've had the experience, especially with sleep paralysis? Obviously, you get frustrated when you can't move, but do you ever like think something's wrong with you neurologically sometimes when these things occur?
Well, there is something wrong with me neurologically, so I know that's fine anyway. Um, I've got ADHD and autism, so I'm allowed to say that.
Ah,
But no, I don't think so. I just think I mean, I just think some people experience things and some people don't.
yeah, yeah. Because that's what I struggle with sometimes is like
Mm,
when something happens, I'm like, I think is there something fucking wrong with me? Like, is this really? Did I just really see what I saw, or you
mm.
know? So I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know because I think it's like the whole, it's not a good word to use, but the old saying that crazy people don't know they're crazy. So to me, if you're questioning it, if you're thinking, oh well, there's something wrong with me, then it means there's nothing wrong with you. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you think, like I say, if you think you're crazy, then you're not.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's just like my ex made me
Hmm.
think that I was narcissist, so I went to my therapist. I was like, "Am I a narcissist?" And she's like, "The fact that you're asking me that means that you're
Yeah.
not." And I was like, "Are you sure? Would a narcissist try and pretend that he's not? I don't know."
And then he
And
probably
ask
wouldn't
his
admit to it as
therapist.
well, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
That's true. You're right. You
But
have it. You
no,
have a point.
I just think with experiences in anything, I just think some things happen to certain people. It's like, well, like me, I need glasses. Other people don't.
Hmm.
Just
I
one of
used to
them.
wear glasses,
I think. Hmm.
and then mushroom people healed my eyes.
I've heard you tell that story before, or it's been mentioned on one of your episodes that I've listened to. Yeah, that was
I don't know if that's
bizarre.
a real. I don't know if that's a real story because I got it out of
Hmm.
regression, but it feels real. So, regardless of
Fair
that, what
enough.
I saw being
Yeah.
real or not, my eyes were
Hmm.
still better after, regardless.
You see, if that was the case, if that happened to me, I'd instantly think that I was Spider-Man.
Oh
But then
man.
I just look in the mirror. I just look in the mirror and then realise that I'm not.
You gotta be careful with mirrors though, because mirrors are portals too. So
Yeah.
just be careful. Just be careful.
Yeah. Putting two mirrors to face each other. That's all that.
That's true. You're correct. You're correct, sir. You are correct. I think I hear the baby crying. All right, man. Yeah, if you don't mind letting the one person that listens to my podcast know where they can find your show and your social medias.
Yep, so we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's in the process of going onto YouTube now, so it's Let's Talk About. We're on Instagram. That's the main one that we use, so it's at Let's_Talk About Pod. You can find us on there. The link in the bio. You'll find out everything else on there.
Dope. When you go on, are you doing like complete video like this on YouTube, or are you just doing audio and making a video
Yeah,
of some
just
kind?
audio with video at the minute.
Oh, okay.
The plan is to actually get some cameras and film the whole thing properly eventually.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be dope. I didn't, mainly because I don't watch YouTube podcasts, like podcasts on YouTube. But apparently a lot of people do. And so there is a market there
I do
for
with
it.
some.
So do you? Yeah.
I think some I prefer just to listen to. Some I do like to watch, and it's just one of my weird quirks they have.
Yeah. I will say I have gone to podcasts that I listen to that are on YouTube. I will go to their YouTube just to see what they look like. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now I can put a face with these voices that I listen to every day.
Yeah, it's
So
it's never how you imagine in your head either.
no, it's never ever how I imagined them to look. Never ever. But it's interesting. Podcasting's fun. I love doing it. You guys definitely seem like you love doing it. So, keep it up. Because this doing things that you love to do. I hate to see anybody go just because they think that their numbers aren't there. But as long as you're having fun, that should be the only part that matters. And I've met people who've started podcasts around the same time that I've had that are no longer doing it because they didn't get their numbers that they thought that they would get. So, yeah, man, you guys are doing an amazing job. So I definitely want to listen to it more. So I definitely have to put it more in my algorithm so it shows up when I'm actually looking at my podcasts. So because the couple that I've listened to were good, and I just want to commend you guys for that. So just keep it up. You guys are great. You're great friends. I see you guys, sharing everybody else's stuff and trying to help everybody else. So that's amazing as well. So Liam, thank you for spending this time with me. Time's our greatest currency. So the fact that you sat down with me to do this, man, means the absolute world to me. So thanks for being on.
No problem. Thank you for having us on. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love your perspective, and all that. So everybody, please go check out Let's Talk About ... podcast with Liam and Billy. I've played their trailer a couple times with their logo, so if you haven't seen it yet, maybe I'll just throw it up, their logo up in the freaking A. Why can't I speak tonight? God damn, in the intro. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Holy cow. Anyways, so that is the show. Please go check out their podcast. Leave a 5-star rating. Give them a good review. I would appreciate it. They would appreciate it. You know, So with that being said, please like, follow, share, subscribe here. If your podcatcher doesn't let you leave a review, you can leave one on the website where the weird ones are podcast.com, and that's where you can get the merch and the hot sauce. So go check that out. And from now on, you guys know the drill. Question everything and stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.